This episode is brought to you by Temptations Cat Treats. Your cat will come running for the perfectly irresistible Temptations Creamy Puree and Temptations Lickable Spoon Cat Treats. The best time to feed lickable cat treats to your cat is anytime. Feed by hand for a playful moment, in a bowl for a creamy treat, or as a topper to make mealtime fun. Visit temptationstreats.com to learn more.
Today on CityCast Boise. The spring housing market has long been considered the best time to buy a home, but is that still true in 2025? We're exploring the ripple effects of tariffs, what a recession could mean for prices, and how much politics are shaping where people choose to live. It's Monday, April 14th. I'm Lindsay Van Allen, and this is what Boise's talking about. Joining me is Michael Miller, co-founder of Homefound Group Boise. Thanks so much for being here to share your perspective on the latest Boise housing market trends.
I'm super excited. Real estate in Boise is pretty dynamic, so I'm glad to be here.
Ooh, dynamic. Okay, so how would you describe, maybe besides just the word dynamic, how would you describe the current state of the Boise housing market this spring?
The Boise market overall, I just like to take a look at the overall economy in Boise. And we're leading the nation in job growth and wage growth. So since 2020, we have seen more jobs and more higher paying jobs hit the Treasure Valley. Interest rates and inventory are a big factor in real estate, right? Mm-hmm. So inventory is not as high as we would like for it to be, and interest rates are higher than we would like for them to be. But, we had a run up in price in 2021 and 2022, a dip in 2023, and then last year we saw it sort of flatline and almost increase slightly. So we're expecting to see a continual gradual increase in pricing over time.
Interesting. So I've heard, but I guess I don't know if it's true. That's why I wanted to talk to you. Is spring the best time for buyers to start looking for a home?
Yeah, there's a lot of adages about real estate that maybe aren't necessarily true, but I have to say that this one does prove to be quite true. When we hit the winter months, a lot of homeowners take their homes off the market, and we see a big dip in inventory. So with less options, there's just less things out there for buyers. So when we start the January and February months, we're low on inventory. There's not as many options, but sellers want to show off their backyard. Spring is a beautiful time in Boise. In the last 4 weeks in our market right now for spring market, we've seen 400 new homes hit the market in Ada County, which is a huge jump, right? So it's great because there's more options. When there's more options, there's more competition for sellers, meaning they have to price better to get those buyers to bite.
Interesting. Okay, well, speaking of real estate adages that might be true or might not be, there's still a lot of talk about our area being in a bubble of some sort, some kind of a real estate bubble or housing bubble. Is there any truth to that?
Ooh, like a bubble that's going to pop.
Yeah, I think that's what people are hoping.
Yeah, I do. I think I hear that a lot. I do a lot of open houses. I'm in the community a lot talking about this. And, there are people who lived through 1991 and 2008, the most recent real estate recessions that we've had. And both times we saw prices come down. The thing to keep in mind, and I'm kind of jumping ahead here, is that potentially we are heading into a recession. All of the exciting news we're receiving every day is tanked the stock market. So a thing to keep in mind is that in the last 6 recessions, home prices went up in 4 of them. And in all 6 recessions, interest rates went down. Yeah. But the other thing to tackle your bubble conversation, we have 76% of homeowners in America who have more than 50% equity.
Oh,
and
wow.
that has it's led to an all-time low of underwater homes. So in 2008, we saw prices drop because people had no equity. They were underwater in their homes. They had to foreclose. Right now, we don't have that. If you are underwater, you're just going to sell your home and make $100,000. So we just have a lot of resilience with the equity in homes in America right now. So unlikely to crash.
Okay, so don't maybe put all your hopes in the bubble bucket.
If I can throw in one of my favorite adages, it's don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait.
Okay. It's catchy. That's great.
Yeah, because think about it. You and I wish we both bought like 12 homes in 2008.
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely. As I'm sitting there like in college watching it like crash around me. I was like, oh, I'm hitting it wrong. Well, Michael, with the huge influx of people that moved to this area, and you mentioned this a little bit earlier, we had people coming from states like Washington and Texas and California, 2020, 2021, 2022, and housing prices skyrocketed. And it seemed like local wages didn't really keep up. But it sounds like you said our wages are increasing. So is there still a significant wage to housing price gap?
When you look at the median household income in Boise, for example, it's just over $100,000. And when you look at the median home price, which is right about $500,000, if those households didn't have other debts like really high car payments or credit card debts, you actually are seeing sort of a relative match in affordability, right? So the median household income does support the median price of the home here in Boise. But a lot of people have like $900 car payments, or their credit cards are still paying off from Christmas 2 years ago. So you have to factor those things in as well. But financially responsible households in Boise can meet the average price.
When people talk about our housing crisis, that gets mentioned a lot. Is that really a factor, or is that just maybe a piece of the puzzle, but it feels really relevant because of how people felt with all the people moving in and, people being able to pay cash? Is it a big factor, or just maybe one piece for a segment of the population?
I think it's really important because we doubled home prices between 2018 and 2022, literally doubled. And wages did not catch up fast enough for that. They are catching up now, but a lot of those jobs are coming in from out of state. We have 8 $1 billion projects happening in the Treasure Valley, which are going to bring some high salary jobs. So, we still have a little bit of a crisis. There are people out there, and I want to make a point of that it is really hard affordability is really hard. Interest rates aren't helping. It would be really nice if the government had some type of system to allow for like a really low interest rate for the first time home buyer, because really that's what gets people,
And Michael, the rate of people moving here has slowed. It hasn't stopped. A lot of people are still coming, but not at the rates we saw early in the pandemic. And what kind of an impact has that had on Treasure Valley real estate?
Yeah. Gosh, I still see so many people at open houses that are out of state. I do 140 open houses a year. I love people. I love meeting people, whether they choose to work with me or not. I'm just so interested in their stories. And, people are coming here from everywhere. When you look at California, Oregon, and Washington, our prices are still lower, So, and our quality of life is great. I mean, Boise's fantastic. It's a wonderful place to live. So we do see people getting called back to work. So I've had some clients who have had to sell their homes they just bought 2 years ago, which is a tough situation. But we still have quite a bit of demand, because here's the thing. If we were to drop interest rates below 5%, our prices would run up. We just don't have enough inventory. People would be swimming into the market. Okay,
so that still is a factor. It's not like there's so many fewer buyers that, that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, there's no lack of demand. Really savvy people, investors especially, they're going to see an opportunity in the rental market, because when people don't buy, they rent. And so right now, the rental market is actually really strong, while the real estate market has been rather quiet. In 2024, we had fewer real estate transactions than 2008.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm curious. Are we still, in your perspective as a realtor, are we still experiencing a severe housing shortage in Boise? Or maybe just for home buying? Or is that easing? Maybe is it only for certain demographics?
Yeah, so when 2008 hit, all the builders stopped. They stopped building homes. And the only way to make space for the next generation of home buyers, the millennial generation, us, we're entering into our prime home buying years, and there's not enough homes. And that's the inventory shortage is what has kept prices up. And so that is very true that we do not have enough inventory, and builders are not building fast enough in order to keep up with the demand.
So in your opinion, what are the biggest misconceptions about Boise's housing market right now? As we're hitting spring, what are the biggest misconceptions you're hearing?
Ooh, Gosh, they kind of go all over the place. The pricing is always like the number one thing. Prices are too high, and sellers are still trying to hold on to their prices because they think, the market's going to continue to explode. I think the misconception is that there's a right time to buy. You can't really time the market. You can't do that. You have to be smart and make smart financial decisions. Look at where you're building. But at the end of the day, you just can't time the market. It's best to just go in. If it makes sense, hold on to it. When you look at prices over time, even after that dip in 2008, after about 3 years, home prices went down, but after about 3 years in 2011, they gradually started to increase again. So on average, homes increase 4% every year. So if you look at like a $400,000 home, that's $16,000 in equity every year.
Hey friends, it's Lindsay, and I have some big news. CityCast Boise is doing our first ever live podcast taping, and you're invited. Join us next Tuesday at noon at the iconic Boise Depot, where we're digging into the transportation question of the century. Could passenger trains really return to our city? The Depot is celebrating its 100th anniversary, and while it's a beloved landmark, will it ever be a working station again, or is that just the nostalgia talking? Mayor Lauren McLean and Amtrak board member Elaine Clegg will be there to break it all down, and you'll get a chance to ask your questions too. So come be part of the conversation Tuesday, April 15th from noon to 1 at the Depot. There will be a food truck, comfy seating, and a great discussion waiting for you. Can't wait to see you there.
SpringFest deals are still in full swing at Lowe's. Right now, get 5 bags of Stay Green Premium Color 2 cubic foot mulch for only $10. And get up to 40% off select major appliances. Plus, save up to $300 when you buy 2 or more select GE kitchen appliances of $396 or more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 4/16, excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Selection varies by location while supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details and qualifying items.
Michael, if you're comfortable with it, I'd like to get into maybe some more national issues and how they're impacting our local housing market, the local real estate market, or if they are at all. I'm just really curious. With, the recent economic uncertainty due to Trump's tariffs, I know people are wondering what will be the impact on the local housing market. What kind of concerns are you hearing from buyers and sellers?
Yeah, I think everybody's kind of like not sure what to expect right now. And I truly am not sure either. There's nothing we can do about it. This is the president that was voted in by the American voters. And so the decisions that he make will impact us and we have to live with them. Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, he said he wasn't super worried about tariffs in the beginning before this recent rollout because tariffs are a one-time price increase on goods. So inflation is steady, continued prices going up. So with this sweeping amount of tariffs that have just been introduced, I don't know if he's changed his tunes on that, but I think I was Realtor.com. I shared a post recently that showed the states that would be mostly impacted by tariffs, and Idaho was number 1 for new construction.
Wow.
Yeah, we're number 1, 40% increase on goods to build, right? And although we had fewer transactions in 2024 than 2008, a lot of those transactions were actually new builds because those builders are able to offer incentives like major interest rate buy downs. But now with all these rollouts, we're going to see the cost to build a home go up again, and they won't be able to offer those incentives. So if you're considering new construction, I would look at it now because those prices are going to go up significantly.
And I know we're really early on in the tariffs. It's early days. But have you seen that builders are adjusting their prices or adjusting what they're offering to compensate for the anticipated higher price for things like lumber? Have there been any noticeable effects on new homes at all?
So we haven't seen the effect yet. We will. We absolutely will. There's a lot of conversations. I do a lot of masterminds. I go to these builder conferences. It's already kind of hard. It's already really hard. It's hard. The affordability is hard. And I know, builders can get a bad rap sometimes, but they're trying really hard to not only make a profit, but to make it a good home at the same time. And the pricing has just made it so hard. We're going to see an impact on new construction pricing. It's just a matter of time.
So if you were maybe going to buy a new home, like run run really fast.
Yeah, I would jump into the market right now. Make sure you bring your realtor with you to the builder's office because you want to make sure that you have someone there advocating for you. But yeah, if you're considering new construction, let's talk about it right now.
And along with talk of tariffs, I'm hearing more and more talk about a recession. And we've already lightly talked about that, like lightly talked about, 2008, 1991. But with a recession potentially looming, as an elder millennial who remembers 2008, what kind of an impact would that have on Boise's home prices and affordability right now with how the market is?
So yeah, like I had mentioned before, recessions typically mean lower interest rates. And we've actually already seen that happen as people have fears. The stock market has responded to the tariffs. Interest rates have come down. They were starting the year at like closer to 7%. I have lenders who are doing 6% right now. And we see market activity significantly jump when we get into the 5%. I think it's 87% of mortgages are below 6%.
Oh, okay. So even with the interest rates going down, it might not be time for a lot of people to refinance. Like it's still higher than what they got their homes at.
Yeah, in order to see a boost in the refinance market, we're going to have to see low 5s or high 4s again, which may or may not happen. But, when you look at history, the last 6 recessions we've had, 2 of them, we saw home prices go down. One was 2008, which was obviously the subprime crisis, and then 1991, which was the loan and savings crisis. Both of those recessions were kind of caused by the real estate market. Every other recession that wasn't caused by the real estate market, we saw home prices go up. So right now, this recession that we possibly could be having, not caused by real estate. So if history holds true, we could see a big run up in price and decrease in mortgage rates. So again, if you're thinking about it, just get into the market right now.
Okay, so this might not be the opportunity that millennials and elder millennials were waiting for to get into an inexpensive and low interest home.
If you have the right realtor, you can always find the right deal.
Is that your pitch?
Yeah, a little bit. Opportunities are available and they're so abundant. Like I said, our pricing is lower than California, Oregon, and Washington. Realtor.com estimated that our average home price in the Boise area would be $1.1 million by 2033.
Wow.
What is that, 8 years away? And we're right around $500,000 right now. So if you look at buying a $500,000 home right now, even though that's a big jump from what you may pay in rent, and then you look 8 years down the road and you think, oh, but I could have $500,000 worth of equity in my home. Maybe it's not a bad time to jump in. Maybe things aren't as expensive compared to where they could be.
So maybe the millennial framing of it shouldn't be, I only want to buy if I can get a house for, $190,000 like people could 15 years ago. But that if I can get in right now, it has the potential to build a lot of equity in the next decade.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a powerful tool. Like I said, 76% of homeowners in America right now have more than 50% equity. The boomers are the ones driving the market right now because they've held onto their homes for the last 10, 15 years, and they have hundreds of thousands of dollars in equity because they bought 10 years ago. And they're using that money to sell and maybe buy 2 or buy 1 with a really low mortgage. So their payment's really low. So, millennials, we kind of want it easy. We've always wanted the quick fix, right? There are a couple of things you can think about. They call it house hacking, maybe buying a duplex or a triplex or a fourplex, right? If the monthly payment is super important to you, maybe that first house is something where you have, a tenant next door or something like that. There's ways for you to get into the market right now.
Idaho is an interesting state and kind of in an interesting state right now. And it feels like everything is political or everything is made political. So from your perspective, do you see in the real estate market that politics are influencing where people choose to live or how they choose to buy homes in this area?
Yeah. Gosh, that question, it's a powerful question because It's very true. You're absolutely right. We will see more and more people flock to areas where they just feel comfortable. You don't just buy a home, you're buying a community. I have people moving from different parts of town because they want to be in a neighborhood that feels more welcoming. Or I have people who want more space and more freedom, right? And so more than ever, it feels like our political ideologies have helped us navigate our decisions. What is also true, and I grew up in Boise, it's radical. It feels radical right now. But also, we have a wonderful community here, and people really just want to get along and be good neighbors. With everything going on right now, I'm hoping there's actually a little bit of a relief and understanding that maybe we don't have to be so polarized, right? When it comes to real estate, we have blue and red areas, and people know about that ahead of time, and they choose to want to be in that area. Even as a realtor, I find myself representing a specific group of people.
So with all this political and economic uncertainty, what are the main things that you think people should know or keep in mind about the Boise area housing market right now?
Yeah. Like I said, we have 8 $1 billion projects happening here in Boise. How long have you been here, Lindsay?
I've been in the Boise area for 11 years. Yeah, 11 years now.
11 years. Like when you would talk to your husband, you were like, hey, babe, you want to go out for dinner? He'd be like, yeah, you want to go to Red Robin or Chili's? Like, what's up? And now it's like, oh, we have some really cute little dining options, downtown, all kinds of different stuff. And so our community is just beginning to come alive. There's so much opportunity here. I think Boise is number 4 in the nation for young entrepreneurs to succeed. So I'm an optimistic person. I see a lot of good data to support that as well. When you think about what to do here, rent is paying 100% interest. If you're renting something, you don't own it, you're paying somebody else's bills. As much as possible, get out from underneath that. Own what you live in.
Well, Michael, thank you so much. That was a lot of really interesting insight, and a lot of these were questions I had and concerns I was really curious about. So thank you so much for taking the time to break it down and explain what's going on and maybe give a little insight into what people could expect or look for.
Absolutely. It's so great to be here with you. I always love when we get to kiki.
That's all for today here on CityCast Boise. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to leave us a review. It helps other people find the show. We'll be back on Tuesday with everything you need to know about pro soccer coming to Boise. And don't forget to join us tomorrow for our live podcast at the Boise Depot at noon. Can't wait to see you there.